Hello there and welcome to my tute on the Magix video editors, projects and movies feature. This won't be fancy, but hopefully will give you a good basic understanding of how this great feature works. In summary, you can have multiple movies, each on its own timeline, on tabs in the timeline area, all in the one project. And I've got an example on the screen here. I've got a project called RAF Aircraft MVP, and I've got three movies in the project. The first one is this Mirages in Action movie. The second one is on its own tab is RAF DC3, and the third one is F111. And you can see here that each movie has its own tab, and it's simple procedures to click between each movie and work on each one completely independently. This is a great feature, for example, long recordings where you may have a VHS tape, for example, which covers a whole range of subjects, and you can record the tape in one file and then put it onto the first movie of a project and then cut it at various points as you desire into separate movies. So you might have a movie for a holiday, and the next movie might be a DIY project at home, and the next one might be a visit of family members. Other examples, for example, would be collating interviews from various people on one particular topic. Other benefits include not corrupting one of the other movies if you make a mistake with one. For example, if I was on here and I messed up something, it's in an edit, it's not going to affect these other two movies. It's much easier to visualize where each movie starts and finishes, so you can have titles at the start up here and titles at the end without having to worry about one great big long file with a cut in the middle and then a fade out and a fade back in, or maybe a closing title and an opening title on the same timeline. You can have a completely separate movie on its own timeline, so it's much easier to organize titles and fades in and out. Another great feature with this is that you can export all the movies together. So using the batch conversion function, which I'll talk about later. This means that if you can set up all your movies and then run a batch export or conversion, export out overnight without having to do each one independently. Okay, so now I'll just go through and start up a new project and go through the process of creating a multi-movie project, and then we'll do a quick batch conversion. I'll go to new project, create project. Now when you start a project up with Magix, you end up with one timeline, and the name of the project is up here, which is the current date. There's two methods of creating multiple movies. The first one is splitting a video object into numerous objects. And this would be appropriate for, say, a videotape capture, where there are various subjects on the videotape that you want to split up into separate movies and files. The second one is when you can manually add a movie to the timeline using the plus button, and then you drag files onto it from the media pool. And I'll go through that after the first bit. To demonstrate the splitting technique, which is the technique I use for splitting up VHS tapes, I'll drag a file onto the timeline, and I'll answer this by saying adjust. And so here we have our, say, videotape of a capture. And what I'll do is I'll split this up into sections. So we'll do up to, say, here, where up to here for the taxi out. there's two methods of splitting this object into multiple movies. Firstly, you can use Alt-Y, which will cut it on the play marker, or you can go up here to the Split Objects button and right-click on it and go down to the bottom here to Split Movie. So we'll do that, Split Movie. And you can see we now have two movies on the project and two timelines. This is the original piece up to here, which is where we made the split, and this one here is the bit that follows on from the split right to the end of the video file. As you can see here, there's it's named 01 as the file name, so we can change these file names by clicking on the movie you want to rename over here to the drop list and click on rename movie, and I'll make this M3 taxi out. Okay, go up to the next one and make this one M3 takeoff. Now it's not really takeoff as well as the flying and landing, so I'll go, now remember we're on the second movie now, so I'll just go up here until the first landing, which is, I won't do this precisely, but it'll be close enough there. And I'll do an Alt-Y this time, Alt-Y. And now we've got three movies. We've got the taxi out, the one we just renamed to takeoff, and this is after the last split we made, which is the landing. So I'll rename this landing, M3 landing. Couple of points to note. We can change the order of these movies by using the drop list once again, and the sort films function. The first position goes to the very front of the project. The last position to front and to back. To front moves it forward one, and to back moves it back one. There's a limited value in doing this because the files are exported in alphabetical order, so the order of the movies on the timeline in the project are not going to change how they're exported. However, it might be better for your management purposes to have these movies in a particular order, so you can do that using the sort films function. You can delete movies by using the function down here, remove movie, or you can use the crosses up here. Just be very careful that you've selected the movie that you want to delete. So for example, this one's highlighted here. You might want to delete that one, but this cross will delete this one. So just be careful when you're using the delete function. Right, as I mentioned, the second method of creating a new movie is to simply click on the plus sign here, and that will add a new blank movie on the end of the current ones that are in the project. So here we have a blank timeline, and I'll just drag one of these other files onto the timeline. I'll adjust that, and this is about a DC3, so I'll rename it to DC3. And there we have it. That's the two methods for creating multiple movies. The first one is Alt-Y to split the current video file, the big long video file you might have, and the other method is to use the plus sign to create manually add a movie, and then you drag files onto it. Right, once we've got all our movies nicely edited on the timelines, each timeline, we'll go to do a batch export. Big advantage of this is that you can export three separate files, three separate movies with a few clicks. So you can set up all your movies to export in one go. You can leave it overnight if you've got a slow computer. You don't have to sit here and export this one and then export this one and then export this one. You can do them basically all concurrently or in the one process. And to do that, we're using the File Batch Conversion option. Now, the first screen you get is the way that you're going to export them. First option is multiple movies, which is what we've got. We've got 1, 2, 3 movies. The second option is objects in the movie, and this applies if you've got, say, just one movie, but various cuts in it where you want to split it up into separate files. So you can have one movie and then make various cuts at the appropriate places you want to split it up, and then use this option so that each cut will be exported as a separate movie. And the last option is in the you can use the chapter function of Magix to export movies. So you can set up chapters, and you can put chapter names, of course, on each chapter flag, and then hit this option to send out individual files as per the chapters you've set up. In this case, though, I'm going to use multiple movies. So I'll click on that, and we have the batch conversion screen. The first thing you want to do is change the export format to MPEG-4, standard old MPEG-4. Then click on Advanced Settings, and you'll come up with this box. You have a bit of a read of that, but essentially I don't want to use specify file name and folder because I've already got the file name set by the names of my movies here. So I'm just going to click on specify folder, and now we return to the normal Magix export box. And in here you can set the file names on the advanced screen, standard advanced screen, audio streamable. Okay, and once all that's set up, you can hit OK. And the last thing to do is to select the movies you want to actually export. You don't have to export all of the movies in your project. You can select which ones you want. And you do that by, initially they're all selected, of course. And you can do that by clicking on each one. I'm just going to hold the control key down now and select these two. And when I hit start processing, those two will be exported in sequence. And before I close the tute, I just thought I'd quickly describe how to merge two projects together or join two projects together. It's quite a simple procedure, and basically what you do is you open one project, you might be working on this one, and then decide that you want to insert movies of another project. Essentially, you basically just go through the process of opening the second project, and Magix will give you a couple of messages about what's going to happen. So I'll demonstrate that now. Go to File. I'll go to Last Open Disk Projects just for the exercise, and I will use this Butterworth project. Now Magix pops up this message: close current project or add new project. If you don't want this project open anymore, then just click on Close Current Project, and Magix will, if needed, ask you to save it first, and then it'll close it and then open this new project or the project you've just tried to open. If you want to join the two projects together, then leave this one open and click on Add New Project. Do that. And what's happened is the original project with these three movies is here, and the two movies of the project that you just opened, in other words the second project, go onto the start of the original project. So now we've got a project with the two movies from the second project and the three movies of the first project all in the same project. And all you have to do then is just do a file save project as, and then you can save it as a new project to join up all of these movies. Or of course you can just do a save project, and this project here will be saved. That's quite handy if you find yourself in a situation where there's one movie in a project you've saved at some other time and you want to insert it into another project that you're working on. And that's the end of the tute. I hope it's been beneficial to you, and I wish you all the best with your video editing with Magix.